Dave Cooper Live, we connect the industry leaders in the architectural, engineering, and construction space with the people, the products, and the processes to help them build it better. Welcome, everybody, to Dave Cooper Live. The construction industry is facing a perfect storm. Record-breaking wildfires, skyrocketing material costs, and skilled labor shortage that isn't slowing down anytime soon. But what if the solution to all of it was hiding in plain sight, in the force we're struggling to protect? Today on Dave Cooper Live, we're talking to Michael Neumayr, an internationally acclaimed designer who has taken 30 years of experience with brands like BMW, Audi, and Dornbracht, and applied it to one of the boldest ideas in construction, turning dead, fire hazard wood into high performance, carbon neutral homes. His company, Safe Arbor, developed a 3D form modular wall panel system that reduces framing time by up to 80%. Simplifies MEP installation and outperforms conventional stick-built structures, all while helping prevent the very wildfires destroying thousands of homes each and every year. This isn't just a better way to build, it's a smarter way to protect our forests, our communities, and our futures. But before we get into any or all of this, we got to give a big shout out to all of our supporting members, and then we're going to play you an awesome intro to what Safe Arbor is all about. Brought to you by Greatech, developers of the complete light gauge steel and wood framing software for Revit StruxSoft. Offsite, modular, or prefabricated, StruxSoft Framer turns Revit into a powerful manufacturing tool, automating every step of the DFMA process from design to final delivery. StruxSoft doesn't just work with Revit, it transforms it. Jumpstart your designs at StruxSoftSolutions.com. Halleck Ltd. has a long history of innovation in cold form steel manufacturing and producing innovative precision roll forming technology for customers throughout the United States and the world. Check out their machine buyer's guide for off-site modular construction or fast build construction with light steel for framing. Go to their website, halleckltd.com. And thank you to all of our supporting members and all the supporting members you see going across the ticker down below. We can't do any or all of this without your support out there. If you want to be part of our global network of executives and CEOs making a difference and building a better built world, then this is the place for you. We'd love to have you as one of our supporting members. All right, without further ado, before we get into bringing the man, the myth, and the legend, Michael, onto the show, we're first going to play an intro video. Check this out.
With a building system that enables a better, faster home build. Hi, my name is Michael Neumayr. I'm the founder of Safe Arbor. I'm an industrial designer and interior architect and the inventor of the Instatech modular building system. We're on a mission to revolutionize the construction industry with a building system that enables a better, faster home build. Our vision is to transform the fuel source of wildfires into the most resilient, affordable, and carbon-negative building solution on the planet. After years of material research, design development, and engineering, we have a modular building system which is entirely made of wood waste from the forest floor. This helps us to reduce the risk of wildfires and massively reduces CO2 emissions. After putting the Instatech system to the test with professional contractors, we see an up to 80% faster framing time without the need of skilled labor. It standardizes systems integration and reduces installation time for electrical by 50%, plumbing by 25%, and a potential overall cost savings of up to 25%. This system went through rigorous structural testing with our research partners at Washington State University, outperforming standard framing in many aspects.
With this tech system, the whole building is it's a no-brainer. You walk up, you look at it, everything's marked out for you. It's super easy. You don't have to think twice about anything. It's going to cut my time in half. It's going to cut everyone's time in half because there's no thought process to it. It's just you get in there, you look at it, you run your stuff, and you're done.
With a system like this, you're eliminating a bunch of that conflict that could happen between people fighting for space. Those efficiencies are giving you in both areas the ability to present savings on one end, maximize profits on the other, like just as a translation, and offer reduced costs on overall building. The thing I really like about working with the Instatech system is instead of having to work to make it right, it actually takes work to make it wrong.
Let's join forces and change the world of construction together.
All right, Michael, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. Thanks for having me on. This is exciting.
You know what? I don't even think we need to show you. We just saw everything. I mean, that was actually a really great introduction video. So thank you for supplying that to us to be able to show it today.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. I mean, I'm really excited to talk about it, of what we've been working on all these few weeks we've been working on this. I'm just kidding. It's been a journey, let's put it that way.
Yeah, well, you know what? It always is. You know, it looks easy when somebody sees it, but they don't understand all the time, energy, effort, and painstaking moments behind the scenes. But Michael, before we get into all of that, we want to know everything about you. From the moment you were born to this very moment in time, do not leave out any of the good stuff from the hospital, or we're going to have your family on the show. And I bet that could get embarrassing. Otherwise, you only have about a minute and a half to do it. I'm going to put you full screen. The floor is yours. Tell us where you're from and how you got to where you are.
Okay, try to make this quick. I was born in Austria. I'm half Danish, half Austrian. Grew up in Europe. I lived in Germany, studied in Switzerland at Arts and College of Design. I studied product design. And I had the privilege to also study in the US at Arts and College of Design in Pasadena, California, where I've also now faculty since over 10 years. And my career, I studied product design, and my career was very varied, working on all kinds of different products. But what kind of made the biggest dent or influence, I guess, when I was growing up, because I grew up in a tiny little village in Austria. My dad was a vet, and I played in the forest all the time. So I loved the forest, and my favorite toys were Lego blocks. And I could build anything with this. So with that being said, after, doing my studies at Art Center, I needed work. So my parents decided to move back to Austria, and they were building a house. And they said, you have no work, so why don't you go and take care of and learn about construction some? And this is what I actually did. And it stuck with me. I think it's also a genetic thing. My mom was a self-taught designer, and she was really brilliant at that. And it's sort of, I don't know, even though I studied product design, building and interior design and making homes became something really important to me. And this led me through a very, very career. I worked for the automotive industry as a consultant, learned a lot about industrial production. I did a lot of work as a product designer, from lighting design, furniture, medical equipment. I literally designed everything from a baby pot to a luxury shower to recycling containers, you name it. And I guess the big thing is what's driving me is sort of an obsession with, first of all, understanding how things work and how to make them better. There's nothing I can stand more is than bad quality stuff. And this sort of led me where I'm now.
So I always ask everybody, I mean, were you sitting at a bar having a beer and this popped into your head, this idea on how to solve, housing, how to protect the forest? Like where was that aha moment for you that you said, you know what, I think I can come up with something that really is impactful and meaningful?
Well, I had the privilege in my career to work on super high-end, fully custom design projects, and multi-million dollar private residences. And, having the privilege to work on projects where you basically have no budget, in a good way for the designer, that I could design anything he wanted. And as long as my client or my clients were happy, I could do whatever I cared for. And it sort of, it was a real privilege to be able to work in Europe on these projects, because we have a very different tradition of building. It's very different from what we're doing in the US. And it's also like you cannot work in the trades really, or run a business in the trades in Europe if you're not a master. So you run through the entire vocational training, apprenticeship, journeyman, master school, until you come into the place where you can actually run your own business. So you have the privilege to work with really, really top tradespeople, and you learn a lot. And I always loved, I got this bug from my mom that I always loved to be on the job site and learn. And to come back to your actual question, what drove me to it, I found it crazy how much material we waste on a regular construction site, depending on the technique. In Europe we do mostly bricks, clay bricks, and in the US we do mostly sticks and sheets, type 5 framing. And we know if you're on a job site, if it's very well organized and very well planned, you have at least 10% of waste, but it can go up to 30-35% waste. And that's resources, money, time. And I think that was one of the reasons, was the ecological thing is, I know I have a science background. I have a science degree. So for us, climate change is real. We see it in California. We lost 16,000 homes this January alone in our, Palisades and Altadena fires, Eaton fires. So for me, it was also really important that if we keep doing the same stuff we've been doing, we're not going to make a dent.
Yeah.
And we know that, from an ecological point of view, the biggest absorbers of CO2 and the cheapest ones are trees. So I thought, we have these big environmental problems, not that we are losing homes and structures and businesses. We're also losing big absorbers of CO2 and the source of construction lumber. We are losing that too, not only through fires, but through all kinds of ecological impacts, especially in California. Or not only California, it's Oregon, Washington, you go up to British Columbia. We're having massive issues with droughts.
Yeah.
Beetle infestation. So, and now we have also, we've experienced over the years through COVID that lumber prices are going up exponentially. So I thought there must be a better way of doing this. And the only way we can counter things, I think, old problems, is with new solutions. And it's all about, we know it's efficiency and repeatability,
right,
and in a different way of addressing several problems. And that's
well, that's the thing. Did you set out to address several problems? Because it sounds like you got a half dozen problems that your system's addressing, right? Reducing carbon, saving the forests, affordable housing, ease of work for the lack of skilled labor that's out there. I'm sure I'm missing some. So this isn't just, affordable housing. This is like really hitting the nail on the head, without using that pun, in that terms. But you're hitting a bunch of things that I think other people really haven't thought about hitting with the way they're building and designing.
So let's put it that way. It was sort of a compounding of problems and also learning from the industry. I mentioned this before in my project, but I actually, designing is great, but anybody who is in construction knows designing is one thing. The other thing is you need to get this made. And if you want to get this at high quality, you really need to understand what are all the pain points of all the trades involved. So what was first just started out that I wanted to do something for nature, and said, we're going through in California through these wildfires every year, and they're getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And this is statistics. You just have to look at the numbers. So we need to do something. And I just said, let's find another material. We, by the way, did not look at wood in the beginning at all. We looked at alternative sources. So it was a really long process to once just say, okay, what can I make out of a different material than wood? Even though we ended up using wood because of these environmental problems. So it was a real long story of how, doing something really, really environmentally friendly and making it sexy. And the way you make it sexy is make it work really well. And
I love that.
Because the thing is, in the end of the day, we're all, we're running businesses. Right. It's a business has to be, it is a business. Is to be able to create, revenue and pay employees. And we know that this, especially for contractors and developers, this is getting worse by every year. We are facing a massive labor shortage, and we know at the moment it's not getting any better; it's getting worse. And there's the simple statistics for every skilled carpenter. I don't know if it's specifically carpenter, but every skilled tradesperson, for every 7 leaving the industry, there's only 1 coming back. And the only way we can address this and achieve a good quality is by we need to address the problems, because the problems are not going to go away. We can't play, all kinds of little tricks, but the problems will persist.
Well, you know what it is also, and what I like about you personally, the system that you've created in your background. Younger generations like the technology. They want to do the cool thing, whether it's playing Fortnite and trying to make a living gaming, or, being on that design side, or, they're just used to technology. Look at AI, look at all these different things. You're kind of bundling your own package of who you are as a person that is a very high-end designer with a very strong background, right? So there's kind of the aura that Michael brings to it, but it's also the way you designed your product. And I'm gonna pull the website up here in just a moment so we can talk a little bit further about that. But if you can bring technology, and you can bring design, and you can bring sexy, as you say it, into what we do, that's going to attract the next generation of thinkers and designers and builders in our industry. And I think those are all very, very important things. let's get into exactly what this system is. So here's your website here. Build better, faster. Which is a term a lot of people are using now.
Yeah.
The question is, how do you do it?
Yeah. So I think I'm sort of circling back to an earlier question that said, how did you end up with this thing? It was as I said, it was a compounding of learning of problems. And I said, if you only do this, it's great, but this is not enough. We need to push this more.
Right.
And as you said, it was this, it is an obsession with making things better. It's just, I think that's what we do as product designers. And we just learned as we went and developed, a typical process in design is iteration, failing, learning through failing, not thinking that you have a crystal ball. I have a gift, which, I didn't do anything. I got this gift that I'm able to anticipate problems other people can't even see, because, having worked from anywhere, standing with my rubber boots in the mud, digging foundations, bending rebar, doing the tie wire, doing the formwork, all the way up to the roof, with every single step, having it done myself, or had the privilege to watch people and learn from them. I knew that there has to be a better way of integrating plumbing and electrical.
Yeah.
This is just, especially plumbing and electrical and HVAC. I'm going more from a holistic, worldwide view of construction, because in Europe, the way we heat and cool our houses is very different from the US. We don't use forced air. But in any case, it doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you're in a house is a box, for the most part, with a roof,
right,
and has some heating, some cooling, some electrical, and doesn't matter how simple it is, it has a light switch somewhere. And we know that light switch is not down on the floor or up on the ceiling, it's next to a door. And so I thought it doesn't matter if I do a multi-million mansion in Europe, or I do a low-income affordable house in the US. The light switch is not moving anywhere. The light switch is going to stay where it is. But the funny thing is, we have no standardization. Why do we have to think every time when we plan a house where the switches go or where the outlets go, and make sure that they're straight and that they're installed right? Why do we have to do this? Why do we have to think about where plumbing goes? And this is, anyone who is in construction and development knows, and I'm sort of making fun of my own trade. We design amazing things. We're really good at this. But very often we are like coming with this lofty ideas, and then we realize, how do you actually translate that? And translate this within a budget, that it looks great, that it lasts. And the only way I think you can do is in the future, because we have labor shortages, you need to address and need to build faster, because we have our housing shortage. There's a statistic that in California, with the most populous state, we have a housing shortage of 2 million homes by 2030. 2 million.
Yeah. And it's just not here. I mean, it's around the world, the housing shortage. The problems exist everywhere. I'm going to go back to the website here. Walk us through what we're seeing here. Like you have, 1, 2, and I can go through these, but I mean, you're literally taking, walk us through your process and how your panels are made. Understood on the, what the problems they're solving, but let's walk through what you're doing here, how you're doing it, and take people on the journey of why the process and how you're doing this gets them to a better house, a better product, a better building, better cost savings, all those things.
So again, we are tackling several problems at the same time. And one of the biggest things we have right now is material cost. We are able to we developed a process where we can use a structural panel. This is very important. This is not just function. This is also structural. A structural panel and components which can all be made from lumber, which is not usable for the lumber industry, because it's either what we call in the forestry industry SDT, small diameter timber. Mm-hmm. Anything which is too small to be cut into 2x4. Or whatever, we cut down a whole tree. The tip of the tree is not usable because it's too small. Or we have in sawmills, you take a round log, we cut a square piece. So we got those leftover pieces. We can use this. And it doesn't really matter in our process If that's
Right.
a live tree, where we just, do thinning operations, which are also very important. So there's nothing wrong with this, provided it's done sustainably, of course. And we have like a very inexpensive material resource, which through our process can do in a very high quality product. So that's the beauty of it. Think about, when we started to recycle aluminum, everybody thought, thinks I throw a can away. It's endlessly recyclable. And this is also for us the case with natural fibers. It's never possible to endlessly recycle, but we have basically also the way we conceive the entire system is we are in the factory zero waste, because we are simply using whatever is left over and make something else out of it. So this is our big vision, to get to this point where every single component is, first of all, healthy for the planet, healthy for the humans who live in there. The living quality is going to be tremendous, because every single component of our, there's of course some coatings, but every single component in our modules, this modular system, is literally derived from wood residuals, whatever it might be. It could be from, dust from sawmills for the insulation, or chips. So it is, I think, the most holistic way where we even support the traditional industry. We say we are not taking your material away. We are actually taking what you can't use, and we are addressing the shortage this way. So that's sort of. So there's a lot of points, so please excuse me.
No, listen, I love that. Let's get a little more technical on the wall panel itself. Talk to me about the layers, how it's layered, how you're getting your insulation. What is the R value? Is it watertight? Is it wood, and rot resistant? Is it termite resistant? There's a lot of questions here that I think were great, but right now I'm showing, and I can put up the XP8 panel as well. Let me see if it'll let me throw that up there. Right. Walk me through what this panel is and the pieces and components that make up the panel.
So first of all, the panels are using a system. I think the most closest you probably visually is sort of the process for OSB. So it is not OSB. It's a more sophisticated process, but it's how should I say? We have, there's various modules and various geometries. But since you were talking about the XP8 panel, which is our exterior plumbing panel, so the walls are come partially insulated. They already have waterproofing on the outside. They have the sheeting on the outside. They have the waterproofing on the outside. They have as you see, they are white. So the entire module will be coated with, especially in California, with a fire-resistant coating and waterproofing already. So it's already done. So all the cavities which are between the exterior sheathing and the open channels on the inside are already insulated. And this is also wood fiber insulation. And in the end, once these panels are completely, we put, of course, depending on the application, the thing is we are very flexible with the actual application. But now if you see how now the plumbing comes in, this would now, for example, be a situation in a multi-story application. Once everything is installed, the inspector comes and signs off on the plumbing installation. Then you basically put blow-in insulation of the same kind. Also a wonderful product. There's zero waste, because whatever in the blow-in is not used, it goes straight back into the blowing machine. I really like this. It's very environmentally friendly. It has a carbon negative footprint. You don't have to deal with the itch. You have to do with some materials where you also have to wear a respirator. And it basically, the beauty of the system is, which again is years of development, is every single component of one of these wall modules / panels. We are sort of a hybrid between panelized and modules. We call it module, which consists of our panels. Is basically everything is engineered. So there is the typical issues I have when lumber, and especially when there's high demand and we're getting lumber of not that great quality, because as we all know, it depends out of what section of the tree I'm cutting my 2x4. There's a higher, volatility or chance that the studs start cupping, warping, You basically have none of this in this system. Everything is engineered. That wall you're seeing here, without the plumbing installation, it took 3 lay people, me, you saw me in the video, my brother-in-law, who is a set designer, so he knows how to hold a screw gun, but that's about it. He's very motivated, and a student of mine from Art Center. It took us to frame a 20-foot wall. 29 minutes and 8 seconds. And I'm not making this up. This is literally, we looked at the clock of our, I have my iPhone there, and we looked, how long does it take to, the panels are, our largest size is 4 by 9 feet. Oh, that's a standard size, is 9 feet tall, and they come in all different kinds of widths. And we were just blown away. This is, we had the plate down already. So I think what we are trying to do, we are basically a very powerful evolution of standard framing. It's just the next step. It's the step up. Like when we had cars which were built like body on frame cars, like, a Ford Model T, where you had a steel frame and then you put the engine in and then you put the body on. Right. Modern cars which have unibody cars where everything is already preconceived, and you have this like 3-dimensional shape which is basically replaces the frame. Knows how, who has a work truck knows how it works.
All right, so we got the wall framing, get them in different sizes, different lengths or what have you. Talk to me a little bit about shear wall being. How many stories can you go with this? Is it just a wall system, or is there a floor system? Is there where's the iteration of this going to?
So we just came out of stealth mode with this. So there's a lot of things we did preliminary testing. We're not in production yet, because as you guys see, there's been a lot of work going into this. Yep. But we, I think you've seen it in the video we work with Washington State University. We have awesome partners there. We've been working for years with them now. And we were because, nobody has ever done this before in this kind. And people told me in the beginning, forget it. You can never make that. It's never going to happen.
Well, here's what's interesting.
If like somebody tells me you can't do it, and say, watch me.
Well, I want to add this in because I stumbled across you in Nebraska at BCMC. Yeah. And I mean, the only thing we were able to do is a handshake because you were so busy talking. Yeah. Right. Which is good. And I think, there's a lot of interest in this, and from our conversations, there's a lot of people interested in working with you on this. And I think it's really, really important, to understand that how many problems your system is addressing. And I think that's huge. But I think the biggest thing, if you're listening, developers, consumers, builders, whoever's watching the show, thank you. Up to 80% savings. Is that where, like, time, labor, cost? I mean, what does that encompass when you say up to 80%?
So let's be very clear. Also, as we know, as I'm coming as a product designer, we always look at a thing like an iPhone. This is something I can control very easily, right? Because I can hold that thing in my hand. I cannot hold a house in my hand. And in a house, anybody in construction, we are working with different interest groups. Yeah. So our big push is where I was like a dog with a bone. I said, I need to find a way how we can reduce cost and speed through standardization and making sure whatever we're doing is pretty much automatically co-compliant. So even somebody who doesn't really know or hasn't had the experience basically cannot mess anything up. And this is where the savings come in. And, we have to look again. Of course, we know construction. If I'm building the same thing over and over and over again, I can put a very, very precise number to this. If I'm talking construction in general, I can build Versailles Castle, or I can build a tiny home. So it's very dependent on what is the end and where do the savings come in. In our cases, I think we so often make the mistake that it costs automatically. What does this cost per square foot? And it's the wrong way of thinking. That's the same method of how we try to innovate before. There's the old saying, from Henry Ford, if I would have asked my clients what they wanted, they would have told me faster horses. So this is now how we can innovate. So when I come from this point of view that the savings are simply through speed, through quality, through precision, through lack of problems, because you don't have rework, to a far lesser educated workforce. Simply, you don't have to pay high-end framers to set this up. You have it through, again, the standardization. You have it that so much is already done. You take our modules and they're already waterproof. So you don't have to, put black paper in, or you don't have to sheathe it. You don't have to do anything. You just put it there. You bolt it in. You get your shear panels in, and
so I don't have to put siding on this if I don't want to. I could leave it a nice, beautiful wood-looked house, or do I still need to wrap the house?
No, you don't need to wrap it, but you want for longevity. Yeah. I mean, what we have is it's a great, and this is also one of the big advantages. We always talk from Southern California. As you guys know, it never rains here, which is, we almost got swept away.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, but we almost got swept away with 6 inches of rain, which is basically our yearly rainfall in Southern California. But in any case, it makes a huge difference if you're building in Southern California because of the weather. So now, in all seriousness, or if you're building somewhere, I don't know, in Washington State on the coast where it's raining all the time, or you're trying to build during the winter season in Minnesota, is we all know you can't only build when it's a workable condition. Rain is always an issue. So the faster, when we are saying, we tried it, I just broke this down. I told you 20 feet of wall in less than half an hour set up. So now think about how this multiplies if you do the entire envelope of a house, and you can get this house tight, airtight. It's done. So think about you're getting the electrician or the plumber in. You cannot, or at least I've done it. I've been at -10 Celsius and trying to do work on the outside. You can't, because you simply you can't touch anything anymore. Now think about you're doing this inside the house, and you frame a house instead of like 2 months in a week or less than that. And then you're able to heat this thing. You have to be able to do space heaters. That means you don't have to worry about if it's raining or snowing or there's sleet, because you have an envelope. It doesn't have a roof yet, but it's tight and work in there.
Let's talk about the design side of this. Coming from a designer, everything that you're talking about right now comes down to the features and benefits and value of manufacturing and precision, right? And how this goes together. And it's like anything else. It all starts with the foundation. So you got to get that right if you want everything else to be right. But with that said, what are you using for your design software? Like, how are you coming up with this? Do you have your own proprietary software, or did you just use some of the old school stuff you used to design cars and other products with?
So that's a really good question. And again, we are solving or addressing a lot of problems. And what was something which was really important for me is the ease of use of the system. So you can pretty much, with any software, you can plan with this. Of course, it depends on where things going. So we have nothing which is out of the ordinary. We are working with the most commonly used software in architecture. I'm not going to name any names, but everybody's familiar with these programs. And of course, there is also other ways of doing this much more efficient. But what I also need to say, a huge factor, and I think we're sort of outsiders and not outsiders, because we are thinking about things differently. And again, coming back to the efficiency, one of the big things is, I think, why in modular construction, there's a lot of great stuff happening, very innovative. But what we often forget is that a home is a home. And we usually, when we associate home and you ask a child how a home looks like, it's probably going to look like the standard Midwestern American home. Got a pitched roof and windows and a door in the middle, like family's home.
Yeah.
So for us, it was also really important. What you saw in the videos, I'm a designer. Of course, I love to design homes. But what the beauty of our system is, the intention was never to be one style of home. It is essentially what we call building system, is whatever you can conceive. I'm not talking, with all respect to Frank Gehry, we cannot build Frank Gehry because we have rectangular modules. But if you build a rectilinear shape, it doesn't matter what style it is. If you want to do, I don't know, French Revival or Tudor or a ranch style or a Spanish, it doesn't really matter, because the system is designed with architects together. So, and me, with what I'm really stubborn. I said the only way that we can make this quote unquote sexy is by really making this attractive, because a lot of architects don't like to work with prefab or modular because they feel very restricted in what they can do. And every architect says, we're all artists. We want to express, we want to create something beautiful for our clients. So for me, it was very important to actually have a system which is enormously flexible. So yes, like in anything in life, you have some restrictions, but I don't think that there's anything comparable out there which gives a planner as much freedom to plan whatever they want. I think, again, we cannot make spans which are 300 feet long.
Right.
We have physics that are working, but overall, it's about that freedom.
Yeah, we're getting up here on time. I got a couple questions that I want to get to, and I also have an installation video that we haven't played yet, so we'll put that up there as well. But when it comes to design, and I know you're just coming out of stealth mode, and I saw your design example at the show, which you had a full wall system there. If I'm an architect and I have a client and I want to use your system, how am I going to engage, you and your team, Michael, to make that happen, right? Do I have to design using your parameters, or can I say, hey, Michael, here's my building, here's my plans, reconfigure this into your system, redo all my MEPs. How's it going to work?
So it can work either way. That's the reason why we wanted it to make very user-friendly. So an architect would, or designer or contractor will give you this first shot and work at it. But it would, of course, like we know in construction, it always needs to be, there will be some coordination, or we can also do it the other way, that our team is actually doing the modularization. We just get a plan from the architect and we modularize it. So it can be done either way. Again, our goal is there is not one way to Rome. There is several different ways, and we want to be as flexible as possible and make it, empower other people and getting them more efficient, faster, more affordable, by also, constantly learning what works the best. Does a contractor say, okay, no, just here's my plans, you do it? And I said, fine, we do that. That's part of the deal. Or the other way around. Plus, we want to make a real big impact on various levels.
Well, in my humble opinion, Michael, I almost think that you could have standard plans, which are a kit apart, which are already pre-designed. I mean, there's so many options here, right? That people can plug and play that wall system, and I absolutely love it. Let's look at the installation video, and then there's a couple quick comments I'll put up here in a moment. But let's put this on the screen here. Walk us through what we're seeing here.
So this is basically a single-story version of an ADU we're building. This is about 600 square feet. Very straightforward for anybody who knows standard construction. We have a slab on grade. We have sill plates, which are pressure treated. And then we have our modules where you see the various different modules, exterior modules, and partitions, load-bearing walls on the inside, which are, you can also use them as partitions at different wall thicknesses. And you basically see how everything comes together. The beauty of our system is we really try to, how should I say, get the best of two worlds. Things people are very familiar with. People are very familiar with stick framing. And this is just basically the advanced version of stick framing. I say this is not like, we're not 3D printing anything. This is all still the same material. And it's just optimized.
Yeah. Love it. What haven't we talked about, Michael? What do you want to make sure that people want to know, whether it is the consumer, the developer, somebody that may want to invest or partner with you, education system? The floor is yours. I'll give you the last word.
Thank you. First of all, I really appreciate the opportunity. As you see, I'm very passionate about my project. I've been on this for a long time. I guess what we really want to do is, I think we all can make a dent without, life changes in a way. We can have a very successful business. We can help the environment because, funny enough, the trees are the one thing we need. We cannot replace its oxygen. So, and I thought, if we can empower people, whether this is a contractor, you were mentioning before, also, young people where we see, a lot want to be gamers and make their money this way. I think that might sound a little philosophical, but as a creator myself and having built many things, not just as an industrial designer, which is then goes into production, but producing it by your own, with your own means, with your own hands, there's such a sense of accomplishment and pride. And this we want to instill, because if you work with what we conceived here, you are able to deliver a really amazing quality. And I think the thing is, I guess in closing, for us, we look at everything holistically, not just, we're making often the mistake that we're looking at things in silos. The only way we can solve complex problems is tackling very complex issues with a very open mind and from different directions. And I think we accomplished this. And with this, I think we can inspire the youth and do all better and have a better planet.
I agree. And for everybody out there, if you want to learn more, I mean, you have an amazing system. You have an amazing team on board. You got an awesome on-site installation process, which I'm kind of showing a quick little view here again. But I think for those of you that want to learn more about Michael's system and Safe Arbor and what the team at Safe Arbor is doing, you can go to their website. It's been scrolling across the ticker down below. I'm sure they can connect with you on LinkedIn and elsewhere. And for the rest of you out there, this will live on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram. I don't know. It goes out everywhere. But the idea is we're showing people a better way to build. We're showing people that are changing how we build, whether they're from the industry or not within the industry. And Michael, I love what you and the team are doing. And a shout out to Jefferson as well for connecting us at the show too. So keep at it, man. I look forward to actually walking through the first house or building that you build, hopefully here soon. And if we can be of any help to you and our audience, please reach out to Michael and help him out. Cool.
I really appreciate the opportunity. This was great fun.
Hey, it's all about fun, right?
It's all about fun. I love what I do. So why not live the fun right here? No, I really appreciate the opportunity. This was great. We're very grateful that so many people really understand what this really is. And, I think in the end, once we leave, at least I want to make some impact and make some people's life better. And I think we're in a good way. So I'm very proud and I'm very grateful. I have a great team and support through Safe. This is really fantastic. And let's see what the future brings. I'm very positive.
Yeah. And hey, look for Michael at some of our networking events. I have a feeling you're going to get an invitation. I think we have some big things to share with you and introduce you to some great people. All right, everybody, listen.
The whole building.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us today and for listening to today's show. Again, if you want to learn more about Safe Arbor, go to their website, safearbor.co, not com.co, and check out what they're doing. I'm Dave Cooper. We appreciate you. It's Wednesday. Guess what? You still got 2.5 days to keep building it better before the weekend. And I highly suggest you take a break on the weekend because family's important. I'm Dave Cooper. We appreciate all of you out there. Thanks for watching. What an amazing show. Thank you to all of our sponsors for helping us to continue to bring all of these innovative conversations to all of you out there. Please visit them, see what they have to offer you. And as always, subscribe to the YouTube channel and ring that bell. It would mean the world to us. I'm Dave Cooper. Thanks for watching.